Well, good evening, this is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening, and this is a very difficult subject. This is an absolutely horrific story, and I'm always amazed when there are nuns involved in some of these abuse cases. Wow, this is a shocking story. From RT, German nuns rented orphan boys to businessmen for group encounters, shall we say. It's a press report seen by media. I don't want to actually spell out some of the stuff here. You can read the words, but I think it's important that we understand what these people have been doing behind our backs, whilst all the time purporting to be on the side of the poor, the disenfranchised, and to lead people on a path to God. A report being withheld from the public documents horrific acts of against young boys that were facilitated by nuns belonging to the Catholic Archdiocese of Cologne in Germany, according to the Daily Beast. The investigation's findings, which concluded last month and stemmed from a lawsuit brought against the Archdiocese by victims, have not been publicly released, but the contents of the report are said to have been leaked to several media outlets. Sections of the 560-page report purportedly seen by the Daily Beast detail how nuns who ran a convent in Speyer, Germany, between the 1960s and 70s rented orphan boys to businessmen and clergy who abused the children, sometimes for weeks at a time, before returning them. And this is the 60s and 70s. This isn't very long ago. This is less than a little over 50 years. According to the outlet, some of the orphans were forced to participate in group sessions before being returned to the convent, where the nuns would discipline them for having wrinkled their clothes or for being covered. The report concluded that 175 children, most of them boys between the ages of 8 and 14, were abused over 2 decades. Some of the children were intentionally barred from being adopted or taken into a foster home so the nuns could continue to hire them out, the probe allegedly found. However, the investigation declined to directly blame the nuns involved in the sick scheme, arguing instead that the abuse was the result of systemic management errors and the leniency accorded to those accused of taking part in the abominable crimes, the Beast reported. The details were leaked to the press after the Archdiocese refused to make the report public, demanding that journalists who viewed the documents sign a confidentiality agreement. All those who attended a press conference announcing the conclusion of the investigation reportedly walked out, refusing to abide by the Church's terms. And here is another story. Berlin politicians knowingly sent children to live with child abusers for decades, the report reveals. This is all over the place. This is so unbelievable, my friends, unbelievable. The Archdiocese of Cologne said it had withheld the report because it had failed to fully explain its methodology. Fancy that. However, Bishop Karl-Heinz Weissmann, who leads the Archdiocese, told the media the abuse report was so gory it was not suitable for public viewing. The bishop claims he was so disturbed by the report he had to take a month away from his duties after reading it. The shocking revelations come less than a year after a separate investigation found Berlin's educational authorities and Senate has supported and defended placing foster children into the care of known abusers. The 30-year policy, which ended in 2003, led to a number of serious cases of abuse the investigation discovered. And this, my friends, is absolutely atrocious. This has to end, and we have to face the fact that these people that we have placed in positions of trust have absolutely failed. They have abused that trust. And, if you want to look even further, do a little research on the Magdalene laundries in Ireland and listen to some of the stories of the children and young girls over there. So here at the Magdalene laundries, you have young children and girls being abused. And here in Germany, you have boys being abused. So this is an equal opportunity situation. Okay, we tend to think of this happening to a single gender, but no, No, this goes right across the board. And I'm sorry to have to bring this out into the open and to report to you on this, because it is very, very disturbing. But if we don't talk about this, this is the reason that this has gone on for so long, is that people were frightened to talk about this stuff. They thought they wouldn't be believed, that they would be ridiculed. How can you talk against the church? But here we have it. The truth is finally coming out, and it will continue until we finally get our heads around this and start insisting that these people be punished for their crimes, and that this must stop immediately. There is no child on this planet should ever be abused in any way, let alone this way. The scarring that must have happened to these poor children. And when I look at my children and my granddaughter, and I think that there are people out there in positions of authority who will engage. This was a business. They were renting these boys out. It's unbelievable, and I feel compelled to throw it in people's faces, because, like I say, until we acknowledge that this is what has been going on, it will never end, and it has to end, and it has to end now. And I hope that you will join with me by taking your courage in your hands and speaking out about this kind of stuff, and not sweeping it under the rug and pretending that it isn't happening. Okay, well, I won't ask you if you enjoyed this article, because I'm sure, like myself, you didn't enjoy reading it at all. I see this as really part of my duty to read some of this stuff, to bring this out into the public arena. In the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we will talk very, very shortly. You take care now. Bye.